Hello, everybody, and welcome off the rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
This is a comic book review show where we take books from this past week, recap, review them, let you know what we thought about them, and then give you recommendations of books that are coming out this week we think you should pick up. We're going to be talking about a bunch of books that came out this week. A couple of milestones were hit. A Doomsday clock came out, which of course is cause for celebration and fanfare because, you know, I had not serious money, but kind of like theoretical money on Doomsday clock not finishing before 2020. I still think I'm good. He's got what? October, November, December. You got 3 months.
How many more issues?
1.
Oh. Wow, really?
Yeah.
So I did not pay attention to the numbering today.
Yeah. No, that's why I have a lot of criticism for 11, which we'll get into.
Okay.
But yeah, I still don't think Doomsday Clock number 12 will come out before December 31st.
It might.
1990 or
With, like,
20,000
the rest of
2019.
this month, and like which we have most of. October, November.
I don't
Well, okay,
know.
October is rough because of cons and stuff. But John's doesn't go to cons.
It ain't John's.
Well, I'm just saying, like, and
Unless it is.
and Frank's not going to cons.
No, he's not. I haven't seen him at a con in years.
Just I don't know. I think he might make it.
I have a
Maybe-
couple of theories about
Maybe
that.
it'll be a holiday miracle.
Maybe.
Come on.
If ever there was a time for them, it would be appropriate for that book. So yeah, a bunch of books came out. What do you want? Let's talk about DCeased,
Okay.
because it's not DCeased, by the way.
If this wasn't DCeased, this was a tie-in.
Yeah, it was a tie-in, and I read it, and I was like, why am I reading a tie-in? And it turns out like it's because I was interested, and I think it's done by the same person.
Well, I thought you got it because you knew I was going to be interested in it, and I thought
I
you
did do
picked it
that.
up just so that I could read it, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
This was a long tie-in.
Right. Well, it felt like a regular issue of the main series.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was DCeased, A Good Day to
to
Die.
die. Oh, good title.
Yeah.
But yeah, it basically is like, okay, so yes, the DCeased virus thing came from Apocalypse.
Yep.
What are the New Gods up to right now? Or what are the New God ancillary characters like up to?
Yeah,
What do they do?
well-
what did Mr. Miracle and Big Barda do?
Well, I don't even say, like, what would they do? It's more like, if you're going to say that Darkseid got the anti-life equation and then, like, accidentally, like, transmitted it like a virus to the rest of the universe, like, you're damn right. I feel like Scott and Barda would be like, what the hell happened out there? We have to go back. I have to know.
Yeah.
I have to know.
No, that's true.
And I dig that. I dig that concept where, like, they go to Apocalypse and it's just wrecked. It's gone, basically. It's like Alderaan.
Yeah.
It's, you know.
No, it's cool. It was this issue felt like an actual issue from the series. It's by Tom Taylor, and it's basically just like Barda and Scott go to Apocalypse. They're like, okay, that's done. I'm feeling good about this. Let's go to Earth. Let's check it out. And then they basically bump into Mr. Terrific, who has 3 plans, all of which fail.
Yeah, well, no, but
That's the truncated version of
there
this,
really
of this
isn't. Like,
issue.
they go to Apocalypse, he's dead. They're like, hooray, they go home. And then there's, like, a knock on the door.
Right.
And, like, Scott's like, don't open the door. And she's like, what, a zombie's gonna knock?
Right, yeah. Then he rings the doorbell, and they're like,
And
all right, fine.
And it's just terrific. And he's just like, hey, cool. Hey, I'm here because I'm studying the virus. I've tried everything. I tried actually not only studying it, but also giving it to them again to see if that might
Yeah.
negate it. And it's like, nah, it's not going to work like that. So he's like, so I figure I need to go to Apocalypse because that's where it came from.
Right, check the origin of the virus.
Yeah, and they're like, it's gone. He's
there
like,
ain't one.
Okay, cool. So instead, we're all going to, like, band together here, and we're going to go talk to Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. Because,
Yep.
like, Booster Gold's actually part of the third plan, but I guess Mr. Terrific was like,
Just in case.
just in case, and or, like, this was very convenient for the storytelling, but Mr. Terrific might think in that way where he's like, just in case something happens.
Let's bring Plan C with us to Plan B.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, Plan B is Tiffany's plan,
yeah.
which is like,
it's
okay, we got a
fun.
world-ending problem. Let's solve it with magic.
Yeah, let's magic, man. Science isn't working. We got to turn to magic.
Yeah.
And so they go to England, where we see John Constantine is running from hordes. He hops into his cab. He's
Yep.
like, Chaz, we gotta go.
He had his
As you
phone
already
on him.
know, like, you can already tell in, like, you know, if you know anything about these types of movies and or stories, he's a zombie. Zombie. I'm gonna use
They're
the word
straight up
zombie.
zombies. In this issue in particular, they're zombies.
I guess I could say infected.
They called them the undead in this issue.
They're undead. They're infected.
Yeah.
They're unfected. But in a straight up like Steve Dillon looking panel.
Yeah.
Like there's two, like, but that one is the most Steve Dillon looking like I've seen John look in a long time.
Yes. This had straight up real like Constantine
just
feel.
these parts, because there's a whole bunch of artists who worked on it.
Yeah.
But like I got to this and I was like, whoa, that's awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But he burns him alive, and then he tries to drive, and he never learned how to drive.
Right.
I was like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, he's like drunk 95% of the time, I guess. No.
Yes.
No. But they end up, like, you know, our other team, you know,
rescues him.
Yeah, ends up running into him, and they're like, you know, okay, so we figure magic is the answer, and he's just like, yeah, no.
No, I'm just gonna drink myself into the end of the world.
Yeah, I'm not gonna help you. And Mr. Terrific's like, you sure you might change your mind? He's like, I'm not.
I won't.
I'm not going to. So then they decide to enact Plan C, the third plan, which is time travel.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is time travel. Let's use time travel. So they're going to use Booster Gold's time machine, which he stored in Malibu with fire and ice. When they get there,
they're already monsters.
Yeah, which is funny because it was difficult to tell if they were or they weren't, because apparently, like, being like green and blue makes it harder for me to figure it out. I was like, they could just have stuff on them.
Yeah, no, I think the fact that they like drew they didn't. It was a lazy way to do it, where they like just kind of like asked the colorist to put blood on her.
Yeah, no, I know, but I was just like, oh, all right, well, fine. So they have to fight their way in now, and Scott and Barda stay behind in order to give them more time to get to the time machine. They end up
dying,
going down. He quotes Cher,
which was cute,
which was hilarious because she was just like, really?
He's like, I like Cher. And then they die. But of course, because Plan C has to do with time travel, they're kind of like, well, it'll get undone anyway.
Yeah, like one of two things is gonna happen: either like this will be undone, or we're dead. I mean, like, who cares, I guess, at this point. Yeah. It's funny, though, because they're like, we have to give them more time. They barely give them any additional time instead of actually escaping, which they could have done.
Yes.
Which I was like, they should have just used a boom tube and, like, gotten the hell out of there.
Yeah, but
Except, do the boom tubes work if, is there, like, a network?
No.
Is Apocalypse,
I'm sure boom tubes will be a
network?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
But anyway, when they get there, get to the room where the time machine is held, they can't access it.
Yeah, because there's a roadblock in the way by the name of friggin' Wave Rider.
Wave Rider. I was like, no, it's
friggin' Wave Rider.
Yeah. And, you know,
Wave Rider's like, you can't go.
Yeah,
and they're like, well,
he's like being the time cops. He's like, nope,
and you're under arrest for even thinking about it.
Yeah, you're under arrest for time crimes.
And it's like, okay, Wave Rider, whatever. Meanwhile,
the thing you all knew was going to happen, which would, like, even though you know John Constantine is the kind of guy who would not help out, he goes to the Oblivion bar. He's gonna get drunk. Bobo's there. And he's like, oh, it must be really bad out there. And he's like, it is. And he's totally gonna get plastered. And then he's like, you know what?
I guess I'll help.
He gets really mad at himself, and he's like, I have to go help. So he goes off.
Which actually seems kind of in keeping. Like, yeah. I know that, like, most folk would want to peg John Constantine as being, like, a bastard who doesn't have remorse or, like, a conscience. But, like, his whole shtick, his origins are derived from his conscience getting in the way.
Yeah.
And it explains, like, why he's a jerk, but also why sometimes he would help.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those instances where it's like, okay, yeah, no, seriously, this is bad.
Yeah.
Like, this is above and beyond bad, and it's something that I might be able to assist with. So he shows up, and he's like, basically steps up to Wave Rider and is like, you know, oh, can you read my mind? And he's like, no. Like, oh no, can you see my future? Can you see what I'm gonna do? And he's like, no. He's like, cool, what's in this hand? And then he, like, headbutts him.
Yep.
He does, like, he's being a magician. He's like, haha.
Misdirection.
Yeah, I'm clever. So the plan is to just get Booster Gold into the time machine. But suddenly Booster Gold's like, oh no. Because, like, he's being unmade. Like, he's Marty McFlying.
Right. Which I kind of...
During the
like,
Enchantment Under the Sea dance.
Right. Uh-oh. But, yeah.
Because, according to this, it's because Kal-El found Barry Allen.
And I was like, what?
I guess we'll find out. Or we missed something?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. All I know is Booster Gold is unmade, basically. And, like, he and Blue Beetle have, like, a total, like, bro moment.
Yep, a bromant, if you will.
A bromant. That's exactly what it is. Between the two of them, where, like, you know, Blue Beetle's, like, holding Booster Gold. And he's just like, stay with me, man! Stay with me!
He's like, I'm sorry I'll never have met you.
Yeah, and I was like, okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, because...
It's cute.
Yeah. It's much more earned and real than the Heroes in Crisis Bros before Heroes moment,
Right.
which is like so
No, this
awful.
is just cute. Like, they're like, all right, cool, whatever.
So then Wave Rider's like, it is done!
Bye!
You're dead!
He's gonna leave.
Oh, Terrific died too.
Yeah.
So then,
Terrific dies in a horrific way.
yeah, he does.
Like,
Horrifically died.
Yes, he does. Like, you know, in a way where it's like, oh, damn.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I guess you could have actually fixed everything, and that's why you had to die.
Yep.
Whoops, he gets ripped in two.
Yeah.
And then Constantine's like, oh, you just gonna leave, Wave Rider? You just gonna go?
Yeah.
Nah, I don't think so. So he, like, binds their, like, the two together so you can't leave. He's just like, you can't go without me. We're in the buddy system now.
Yeah.
And then he immediately dies.
Yeah, and then Wave Rider
Rider's
dies. He's slaughtered by a Blue Beetle zombie.
like,
And then
oh. Dr. Fate
Dr.
and,
Fate and
and
Zatanna show up to rescue Constantine.
And he's just like, what are you doing here? And he's like, oh, no, we came, like, to help. Or to
And he's
get
like,
you.
well, you're late.
And he's like, yeah, but we just, like, he told Bobo where he was going, and so then he related to them. So it was like, it's, you know, you didn't really ask for help, John.
No.
So, you know.
But they're here to do it anyway, and then...
yeah, and that, like, you know, basically the fate of things, like, rests with, like, John, and that, like, Fate's like, hey, look, it's over. It's fine. It doesn't matter, because, like, the Lords of Chaos and Order are coming.
Yeah, and Constantine's like, nah, I don't cotton to that.
Yeah, I'm not cool with that. I'm like,
cool.
Right on. Like, as far as tie-ins go, hopefully this will actually play into the, like, main story. Isn't just, like, an ancillary story that Taylor wanted to tell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Right.
I dug it quite a bit. I liked all these characters. I know most of them died. And it was funny because it was like, I did not see Constantine making it through to the end of the book.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
but it was great.
Yeah.
Taylor knew how to use these characters properly. Some of the art wasn't really consistent, obviously,
No,
with
because
multiple artists. But
yeah.
like, some of the art like just was not okay.
No, I agree.
With this. But otherwise, good stuff. Like, surprisingly. You know, normally I'm like, woo, tie-ins. But pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good stuff.
Well, again, like, might have been less of a tie-in and more of something that, like, might actually...
I mean, it is a tie-in. It's just like, it actually did the job the tie-ins, like, purport to do.
Right. I was going to say, is it a tie-in when it's a book that's created just for that? I guess so.
Yeah.
Because this felt like a supplement.
Right. It was more of I would call it a supplement over a tie-in.
Which you have to take your supplements.
Yeah, yeah, sometimes. By the way, before we get into more books, I wanted to mention that this show is sponsored by viewers like you, which is to say that we have this thing called Super Chats where you can, like, drop a little bit of scratch and we'll add your comment or question into the show organically in a way that makes it feel more flowy and pays, you know, service to that as well. Helps us out, keeps the lights on, and the internet connection flowing. So, you know, we encourage you to do that if you want to participate in this show. It's a collaborative effort. Like Super Luigi who says, shout out to Batman hating nukes.
Yeah.
Right on. Of course Batman would hate nukes. It's basically just a big gun.
It's the biggest.
But then again, like, why would Batman like Sidewinder missiles and other things if he was, like, had a problem with guns?
He likes snakes. It's cool.
Right, exactly. Mr. Roboto says, so is the Doomsday Clock just another spawn clock? I mean, yeah, more or less. The spawn clock, of course, being a power meter. You know, it says, like, except the Doomsday Clock is, yeah, the Doomsday Clock's arbitrary. It's more of a metaphysical or metaphorical.
Yeah.
Whereas Spawn's clock actually is a metaphysical clock. He also says, why not use the bat magic? That usually works. They were smart enough to get rid of Batman within the first 2 issues of the series. So they were like, get out of here. No Batman. No Dick Grayson. So, like, no smart bat people except for Alfred.
Yes.
That's all you get.
Yes.
And I guess Damien.
Someone must have rubbed off there. I'm just saying. And
Yeah.
and honestly, they may or may not be there anymore. We don't know with the last DCeased.
Yeah.
So.
Also, King's Portical says, Tiff, are you afraid of the dark?
Yeah. Submitted for the approval of the population.
I've got a cool shirt on.
I do.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we could talk about, this is neat. I guess I'll talk about this. It's kind of bizarre. It's called Amazing Spider-Man Going Big. This was, like, an issue that I didn't hear anything about, but came out regardless. It's just a weird, like, kind of additional book. The first story is written by Jerry Conway with art by Mark Bagley. The second story is drawn and written by Eric Larson, as you can see by the cover. The first story is funny because we were talking a little bit in our other show, back issues on our Alien Costume Saga episode, which you, of course, were on.
Yes.
We talk a little bit about how nobody talks about, like, Gale or Mary Jane's extended family.
Yeah.
Well, there is a character that used to be prevalent in the Michelini days of Spider-Man. That was Christy, Mary Jane's niece. and she's basically just another like cute like teenage redhead.
Okay.
And in this, she is a college student, and she is kidnapped by the sex trade. And so
Is this Taken?
it is Taken. It's Spider-Man Taken. And it's just like really good, but it also makes reference to Mary Jane's extended family, which is like something that nobody does. And then suddenly, like literally no one from that family has been referenced since like the 90s. Boom, this happens. But yeah, so the Bagley art is great. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, it's current Bagley. You like it, it's great. If you don't like it, it ain't no different. Otherwise, it's a fun story. Conway, of course, has proven time and time again that this dude knows how to like alter his style to the current trends. Like he evolves with the times.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah, he killed Gwen Stacy like 40 years ago, and he also wrote this really cool story.
Right. Okay. Does Spider-Man have a special set of skills that make him a nightmare?
For people like
whoever,
yeah. It's cool. It's just a fun story. Also, Conway dusts off an old villain, and makes it interesting. It's just kind of cool.
The black hole?
No, he has like powers like Spot, but it's not the Spot. The Spot is another character who has like black hole
Acme?
powers. He's not. But yeah, good stuff. There's also an Eric Larson backup. And it's not even a backup. It's just like here's
another story.
Yeah, here's another story of murder and mystery. No, it's cool. It's just like, oh, that's right. There's another backup too, and that was from Ralph Macchio, who was a Spider-Man editor at the time.
It's really hard for me to not imagine
Ralph Macchio, the Karate
Kid.
Yeah. No, there's a cute little story. Ralph Macchio, Todd Nauck, or Nauk. I don't know how to pronounce it. I always pronounce it Nauck. But he has a YouTube channel. I should check it out. But yeah, this one is whatever. It's cute. It's 2 pages practically. Sure. It's basically Spider-Man defeats a bully villain by remembering a lesson that Uncle Ben taught him about how to deal with bullies.
And great power.
Yeah. He doesn't talk about great power.
And ice cream.
But yeah, no, the backup is basically just like Eric Larson drawing Spider-Man fighting like evil apes. Well, where people.
I was gonna say, if you say this has to do with apes, I'm leaving.
The Red Ghost? No, Red Ghost is not in here. But like, yeah, the Spider-Man stuff, because basically all you're gonna talk about is the art, right? Because like the writing is Larson kind of like winking and nodding at the idea that he's drawing Spider-Man again, kind of like regularly in this book. Like he drew multiple issues. Or multiple pages of a Spider-Man story, which is something he hasn't done in a long time.
Right.
The premise is that Spider-Man has to fight some werepeople and make it to a date with Mary Jane, because he knows that Mary Jane is currently dating Spider-Man, but also probably was like, I wrote this probably 30 years ago, and they were married then, so whatever.
Okay.
But he does make reference to the fact that they are like dating as opposed to being married and stuff.
Okay. The panel layout in this is just so, like, old school.
Yes. It's supposed to... And I mean, not that it's supposed to be. It's more like, what else could it be?
Right.
Because it's Larson drawing Spider-Man for the first time in, like, 25 years.
Yeah.
But essentially, there is no tension. It's just a fun little story where Spider-Man, like, kicks butt, saves the day, then makes it to the date, and he's not prepared because he forgot the tickets for the movie at home, and so he's like, give me 2 minutes and I'll make it back. And then he like does a big fun full page splash, which if you loved Eric Larson Spider-Man is practically classic Eric Larson Spider-Man. Like here's the thing. His Spider-Man has changed in as much as he's like reduced the proportions a little bit.
Okay.
But his humans have only gotten a little worse.
Okay.
Like his humans don't look nearly as good as they used to.
Uh-huh. So wait, is it really a movie?
Yeah. No, he printed the tickets. That's the problem. But
he doesn't need to. He has them on his phone. Just use your phone.
No, but that's because the script was probably written 25 years ago. In any event, it's a cute little backup, and like if you wanted to see Larson draw Spider-Man again for more than like a horrible page from like that Marvel 1000 issue,
okay,
you're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think the last page is better than the front cover, but yeah, the stuff to read is the Bagley Conway stuff.
Okay.
But it's fun. Like it's like, wow, you kind of It's neat.
Yeah.
Like, way to go. Like, all right, cool. Jumping into the super chats.
Yeah.
What was it? Zberm says, loved the Spawn back issues. I rewatched it twice. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you dug it. We talked about Spawn on back issues. I know we did a 2-parter, which is really just a 1-parter, but back then, YouTube didn't like long videos. They still don't, but we're doing them anyway. And,
well, they do. We don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Nobody knows how YouTube works, even the professionals. But we did do this full like deep dive into Spawn, kind of like his origins and the more like the meta origins, like McFarlane and his development of the empire that is McFarlane. And yeah, a lot of people enjoyed it. A lot of people kind of didn't understand what we were talking about because they thought we were like bashing on McFarlane, and it's like, no, we were like, if you think that a shrewd businessman who was like arranging situations and stories to further his own like empire is like bashing, then like I have something to tell you about how every business person works, because like that's just how business is.
Yeah.
I literally later in the episode equate him to a modern day Stan Lee. How could that possibly be construed as bashing? We do a hilarious impression of him though, but you know what? That's all in good fun. I would do it to his face if we were actually talking to each other. So that being said, thanks for digging it. Rafael Gomez says, just supporting the channel. Well, you just did. Thank you very much, man. How nice of you. Mr. Supertastic, great back issues this week. It was interesting to hear business moves made by artists like McFarlane or Jim Lee, when you usually only hear about the artist as victims of those kinds of moves, and impressing too. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's the idea, is that like, well, that's the whole point of back issues, is to give you kind of like a deeper dive, or at the very least a more funny conversation about something that you've probably known backwards and forwards. It would be a boring show if it was 3 people on a couch agreeing with each other about something they all talk about and read. Hey, don't forget that other thing that I said. Yeah, no, I said that already. Oh, right, that's right. Yeah, like, no. It'd be 3 people tripping over each other trying to talk about the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not that show. Yeah. Anyway, what's a book you want to talk about?
Let's talk about Conan.
Conan! Is it Aaron's Conan?
It is Aaron's Conan.
Good. How many Conan books are there out now? Is it like, because I know that the Ribic one is gone.
Yeah, that was a one-shot. I think Belit just finished up. So there's this Conan, there's the now Jim Zub Conan, the Savage Sword of Conan.
Which used to be the Duggan Conan.
Yeah, and then there's the other, like, just mini, about another character, from the Conan lore.
Right, it's a Conan, like, linked book.
Starts with an A, I don't know what her name is, I bought it.
Oh, yeah. But that's not
no, it starts with a V, I'm wrong, it's an upside down A, basically. Valeria.
Valeria. And not to be confused with Savage Vengers, which also features Conan.
Yes, also with Conan. This is Conan the Barbarian. I think it's issue 9.
Okay.
This issue doesn't do the same sort of like book ending where it's just like here's the story about like a time in Conan's life, and then here's the end where it's like we're in the present day with King Conan. This is literally just a story about past Conan that like basically is like, and here's the scary, horrible future for Conan. I think it's Aaron just trying to just young Conan. Like he has an occurrence or an adventure back in the day that he doesn't realize that he's seen his own future, or like I'll explain.
Okay.
So Conan like wakes up in this like cave, and he doesn't know like where he is. He doesn't know what's going on, but like in it there's parasites and all this other stuff, and then like he comes around the corner and there's this monster in like a red cloak. It's like this big ape man with like a big red cloak on, and he's like,
oh no,
he's like, oh crap,
I've seen that ape man.
Yeah,
that's from friggin' that horrible Conan sequel, Conan the Destroyer.
Well, that could be the same character.
That's straight up him.
He has a name. What's his name?
Is it written? It's not written by Jerry Conway though.
No.
Because Jerry Conway, I think, helped write Conan the Destroyer.
No, this is.
And yeah, woof.
No. This is No, he doesn't name it. I'm sorry. Oh no, yeah, it's Thak.
Okay.
He fights Thak.
I don't know if they named him.
And he goes like, I fought him before. I already killed him. I'm not gonna survive this again.
Right.
So Conan's like, okay, I'm gonna die. So, like, Conan's, like, fighting him hand to hand, like, he eventually, like, gets up in his face, and Conan just takes his mouth, and he just bites him right in the neck. I'm like, that is so messed up, Conan. Like, right here, he's just like, hop!
That's a bad place.
And he's just like, yeah, he, like, Vulcan next pinches him with his face. And he hears like a scream, but he's like, that's not the scream of an ape, it's the scream of a man. And then like, this like chick shows up, and she's all like willowy with like long white hair and like flowers in her hair as well. And she's like, Conan, chill out, man.
Conan, wake up.
Stop what you're doing. He's like, what? He's like literally just covered in blood. He's like, who are you? And she's like, cool, the Undergod is like totally affecting you. And he's just like, and he looks down, and it's like a dude who's like really like discolored and like almost like a bluish lucent flesh covered in leeches. And he's like, I saw it. And she's like, yeah, no, I know. You saw what like it was in your mind, like your own nightmares kind of thing come to life. So there it is. But like other people can see them too.
Oh.
So like that's messed up. Basically what ends up happening is like Conan was helping this caravan, and like they all died. And Conan ended up in this cave. Like, he fell into this cave, and then he runs into some other folk who are like, you're the only person who can defeat the Undergod who is preventing us from leaving, and then we could actually go.
Yeah.
And, like, this chick, which I can't remember her name, is special because she is, Lady Liv is the only one who was born in here. Like
in the cave?
Yeah, in the cave. So she's she's like the White Witch or whatever. And she's like, Conan, I see in you like the ferocity that will be able to save us, that kind of thing, right?
Right on. Well, we'll probably die anyway because that's how it always goes.
Yeah, right. But like as they're going along, like all sorts of crazy crap happens. Like they can't rest very long because the leeches will come, or the leech men will come, who will try to take them and turn them into like leech people, and who will like serve the Undergod basically. They like find this like crazy boiling river. One dude like falls in it. We don't see this. Conan just describes it. He falls in the river.
It was gross.
They're like he basically boils away before he has the chance to scream. I'm like,
awesome.
That's okay. Don't hang out with Conan. But like Conan just refights a whole bunch of guys that he's fought before. Like he fights like giant frost giants and like big white snakes and like snakes with crazy faces on them and like an elephant man and a spider person and sharks who have like tentacle legs and just all these things he's done before. And everyone's like, Conan, you led a really fucked up life.
Yeah, Conan, you really... Thanks.
Conan, what is up with that?
Yeah.
Like,
knock it off,
what
Conan.
kind of adventures have you had? He's like...
The worst kind. Or the best.
Depends. What is best in life? Well, Conan will let you know. Yeah, me. It's I am. I am the best in life.
It is I.
It is I, Conan. Basically, at the end of the day, this is like an Exogorth or Exogorth. What is it? Yeah, Exogorth.
It's a made-up word, so say whatever you want.
No. Exogorth is the name of the space slug from Star Wars.
Oh.
They're in the god.
This is no cave.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's Minox in there. They're chewing on the power cables of the people.
Right.
So I was like, what's the name of the space slug?
Right.
Exogorth.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I looked it up.
Well, there you go.
I'm not going to pretend like I was able to pluck that one out of the air.
You will from now on. That's how I know what a Diana is.
Exactly. I knew that too. So anyway, finally get down there. They're in the Grotto of Blood. I was like, of course, you're in a Conan story. If it doesn't have to do with snakes, it's going to have to do with blood. So they go to the Grotto of Blood, and Conan fights one final monster. And, like, it's this crazy-looking beast with, like, all you see is its hand, and its hand is made out of mouths, which are also, like, it's also, like, made out of blood simultaneously. And, like, Conan cuts it, and, like, the room just fills in blood, and, like, he's, swimming in blood as he's killing things. And then he basically, like, it bursts, like, the Undergod, I guess, bursts out of the water, and Conan, like, slices their way out. And, like, he's like... Bless you.
Thank you.
So a whole bunch of, like, the people who did survive get out. Lady Liv's like, oh, the sun. She doesn't actually betray them. I assumed she was going to betray them.
Naturally.
Nope, she's totally cool. She's like, whoa, this is crazy out here.
Whoa,
she's
awesome.
Like, you can't see you can't see the top, basically, because she lived in a cave her whole life.
Right.
So she's like, there's a sky. She doesn't know what
and
that
everything.
is. And, like, later on, like, they're talking a little bit, like, as Conan's, like, leaving, and he's just like, you know... I've never fought the final monster.
Oh.
And she doesn't have the heart to tell him that, like, because she does have some sort of magic, I guess, having been born where she was.
Right.
So, like, she doesn't have the heart to tell him that, like, he will, and it'll be the last thing that King Conan sees.
Oh, no.
And I was like, that's cool! Because its name is Razazel, and that's the last name he'll also ever hear. And I'm like, that's neat. And you see, like, a little image of, like, that hand reaching up. And I'm like,
oh, that's dope.
And it says, to be continued.
Oh.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. I love the way this story is being told. So,
that's cool.
Yes. I'm so on board for Conan. Aaron's is my favorite Conan. And of course, Savage Sword is also an excellent read. But if you're looking for one Conan book and you like Jason Aaron's work, at least on Thor, I'd go for this run.
Yeah, why not? Awesome. Conan,
what do you got now?
Justice League 31 from Snyder Tynion and Jorge Jimenez.
I like the idea of it being Snyder Tynion, like they somehow got amalgamed.
Yeah. Well, Tynion is a agent of Snyder, so. The last issue, I was like, this is boring. Who cares? This issue was a little bit more zippy.
Okay.
A little more fun.
Yeah.
And getting to the point. Because the Justice Doom War, Snyder's kind of like been alluding / like building towards it forever. So he, and then the last issue, it's like, it's here, and it's not really much of a war, and I guess we'll go like put together this time staff or whatever. Mm-hmm. So we sent teams to Hypertime. Turns out that the Legion of Doom was already there to those locations, and so everyone's acclimating themselves to like their new times. GL Flash meet the Justice Society, thereby throwing away anything Johns is doing with the Justice Society or what he was planning on doing with it.
All right.
Flash doesn't recognize Jay Garrick despite everything. Like, everything.
Okay. Is that like an indicator of something?
It's definitely an indicator of something, and that something is called retconning. It definitely like means that all of Rebirth is a lie, and that it's all garbage. So get used to not referring to Rebirth. But there is a lot of New 52 stuff in here, so, if you liked that.
What?
Yeah. Meanwhile, the future team, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, the Trinity, meets Come D, the last boy on Earth. And they find out that, like, Brainiac has been bottling hypertime moments. So instead of collecting cities, he's collecting timelines or instances in time.
He's Dumbledoring. It's like a memory, but not.
Yeah, they're like pensives, I guess. But so they're like, we got to get from this time to that time, and so they steal. No, they go into the like old Justice League headquarters, and they find the old ship that in a previous Snyder story Batman uses that shrinks down to go into Superman's bloodstream. And they're like, now we can be small enough to go into the other timeline in the little like shrunken down city. And so they do, and it's like, oh, what timeline are they going to? And meanwhile, in the past, like, the Justice League meets the Justice Society, practically. It's just Flash and Green Lantern, but, like, of course it's Flash and Green Lantern, because there's a Flash and Green Lantern on the JSA. And, like, the fact that, like, that they were doing something with the JSA, that they were planning something with it, and, like, the fact that, I don't know, when you read The Button and then you paid like $30 for the hardcover edition of The Button with the lenticular covers.
Yeah.
And Jay Garrick shows up in it, and you're like, oh, what's going to happen? And then the next meeting they have is that Flash doesn't even recognize him or even refer to him as a comic book character he liked. You know that it's all getting thrown away, so you're like,
right.
This feels a little hollow. It hurts a little bit. But it would have been really a cool moment if no one was doing anything and hinging their entire like publishing line onto it.
Right.
Otherwise, it's kind of fun.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the present day team of the Monitor, the Anvil guy that Snyder created, Hawk Girl, Starman, the baby from future Shaira and Jean, who is definitely going to get retcon out of existence, and it's going to be really tragic and sad, and it's going to force Shaira and Jean not to get together.
Yeah, goodbye time. No, they should definitely, to save the baby.
No, but they're not, because it's like going to be too painful. What if we lose him again? Fart. Like, that's what they're going to do. They're going to the edge of the universe to go find the Anti-Monitor and convince him to join them. Meanwhile, Luthor and Perpetua are like, we need to get the Anti-Monitor and convince him to join us, despite the fact that there's 3 brothers who all have equal power, and 2 of them are on the Justice League team. So technically, who cares?
Yeah.
But, like, whatever. So they go, and so the Trinity goes to this like future. You're like, oh, what's the future? It's the 1 million future. Because like when they go through, there's a big blue Dark Knight Returns lightning bolt, and I'm like, oh my god, are we going to the Dark Knight Returns future?
Right.
Like, because that would be kind of like weird and cheap, but also kind of fun and neat.
Yeah.
Like I would have been very excited to see what Snyder was gonna do with like what we need this thing. Like you know, we meet like Frank Miller's Superman or something. Like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
No, of course it's Grant Morrison's future, because this whole thing is a Grant Morrison homage. So, you know,
Right.
so that happens. Meanwhile, the JSA goes to find the piece they need in Hawaii. Of course.
How do you get that gig? That's a good gig.
I know, but of course, like, it's Pearl Harbor and friggin'.
That's less of a good gig.
It's the 40s. It's December 1940, but this time, like, Gorilla Grodd and like Cheetah and Sinestro are helping the Japanese, and so you're like, oh no, and you know, it's like, it's a lot of fun, and it's also kind of like, what? Meanwhile, you get to the edge of the universe where the source wall used to be, which really like broke my heart. Like when it says the former location of the source wall, and I'm like,
Aw.
that's a really, like, you know, there's a lot of pieces of like DC iconography that like you really, you know,
Yeah.
that are tangible and like, you know, there. And there's fewer still that are in use that are Marvel DC co-creations. Sad to see it go. It turns out that the Anti-Monitor has chosen a side, and that side is Aquaman's side, and so Aquaman has become an agent of the Anti-Monitor, and that's the big reveal at the end of the issue.
Wait, he chose Aquaman's side, but
Well, Aquaman chose Anti-Monitor's side, but like
Oh.
both those teams are headed for trouble, and you're like, what?
here come Aqua Bros.
So that happened.
It's gonna be great.
It's fun stuff. Like, it's kind of fun. If you want to wait, you're not going to hurt anybody. So,
It's gonna keep making them, so
because it's going to keep going.
yeah.
But I this is the first issue in a long time where I was like, oh, okay, I'm having fun again. Because all his building with the totalities, I was like, I don't care. And I don't see what you're doing. And like, it can't possibly be as simple as it feels. So I guess I must be confused.
Okay.
But then it isn't. And so I'm not. So boo. You know what I mean? But then it means that you were like deliberately obtuse for like a bunch of issues, which is the exact opposite of what they want you to do, which is just be Jonathan Hickman. So it's fine. It's a fun little story. Him and his is great. You can tell he's rushed, but like I don't know if it's the colorist or what, but like, you know, it's just the art. Maybe he didn't have maybe he didn't have any amazing moments to really
that could
depict.
be too.
You could tell that they were he put a lot of effort into the JSA stuff. Because like, this is how we're going to integrate the JSA back into continuity. And I know that a lot of people want, and we know a lot of people wanted to do that because they've been hyped about it for years.
Yeah.
So, you know, there you go. I recommend it. The last issue, not so much. This issue, a little more fun.
Okay.
That being said, since it was like 1 week between the two, I was
Yeah.
like, how long am I going to have to wait for the next chapter of this Doom War?
Okay.
Either way. What was it? King's Portugal says, back issues is great. I know you don't like to talk about Spawn. That's not true. I like talking about Spawn. It's just like, you know, yeah, no, I do.
Yeah.
It's just that I didn't want to beat a dead horse.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Pricey 8040, I remember Rebirth. Those were a good 2 years. They were good 2 years. Not anymore. Mr. Luigi-tastic, or Mr. Super-tastic. I enjoy the banter between the League and the Society. Not a fan of Snyder as an architect of DC, breaking the source wall, Perpetua, Batmanium. I completely agree with you there. Or You're the Villain. Not a fan of New Luthor design. New Luthor design will go away, hopefully, at the end of the story. The banter, I was like, I would have liked this more if it was the only reference to the JSA we got. I don't think Snyder's the guy to be the architect of the DC universe, like you said, but he absolutely, unquestionably is. Like, I just don't think he's suited for that, but it's one of those things, you know what I'm talking about, where it's like, an artist or a writer is like, I am really good at this thing.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that thing. I want to do this thing. And it's like, but you're not supposed to do that thing. You're only good at these few things.
Yep.
But you're excellent at them. It's like, but I want to be doing that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Like, I'm trying to think of like a musician or a, like, you know, whatever. I know I've got I know there's a million examples of that.
Oh yeah. No, there are.
But it's
There
like,
are.
just do the thing. Like, just write a noir story. Just write a story about someone getting murdered, and then, like, you know,
Right, and there's something to be said about challenging yourself to improve your
right, but like,
craft,
don't challenge yourself
but
at the expense of the DC universe.
That's fair.
Silvery Cricket says, wait, Aquaman is currently dealing with the Elder Gods of the Sea. How could he possibly be at the edge of creation? Check out Aquaman. It's great. Tiffany's recommended it a bunch of times.
Yes.
And it's drawn by Victor Bogdanovic, who is one of the best rising stars at DC and Marvel now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. How could he do that? Because Snyder trumps whoever is working on anything else at the time.
Yeah.
Snyder's top 3. It's him, Bendis, and King. Whatever those 3 want to do, everyone has to get out of the way. Mm-hmm. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Cash Money in the Bank, so sad Rebirth's being ignored, smells of company politics, which is super frustrating. Yep. I completely agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Not only is it like, it wouldn't be so bad if it's like, oh geez, you gotta milk an event out of this. Fine, I get it. Marvel does it all the time. You gotta make your money, I get it. But at the expense of Doomsday Clock, like at the expense of good stories, like you gotta tell your story, but also morph other stories, woof. Brian Miller finally caught up with you guys live. Keep up the stellar work. Thank you very much, man. You keep up the stellar commenting.
Thank you.
So yeah, let's talk about the next book that you want to talk about. What is it?
Let's stick around in the DC universe for a minute. I'll talk about Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
I picked that up
Oh yeah.
because Poison Ivy.
Right.
And I was honestly morbidly curious what they were going to do in the wake of Heroes in Crisis. Because this is tied to that and You're the Villain simultaneously.
Wow.
I was like, would have been
Doing
cool
double
if you
duty.
could have just told a story about these two characters, but fine. Because as we know, if you read Heroes in Crisis, Poison Ivy died.
Yep.
But then she didn't.
From a rose.
She got kissed from a rose.
Yeah. Harley threw a rose in a river and then she got better.
Yeah, well, it's very much like Swamp Thing.
Yep.
She just comes back. She's a plant monster thing. She has like no skin. She has a hard time forming herself. Harley takes her out because she's trying to be like, it's cool, we're totally normal, we're buds and we're pals and like blah blah blah, and like
Yeah.
Harley makes a lot of references to Heroes in Crisis about like being accused of things and like all the crazy stuff that happens and like taking down the Trinity and like all this other crap, right? Mm-hmm. And then they get a box from Lex Luthor for Ivy, and it's like fertilizer, and so she eats it. And then the next day she wakes up and like she looks like herself, and she can make her own clothes. And she's like, I'm not really sure how long it's going to last, but you know what? Like I'm getting stronger and it's fine. And then Harley's whole thing is that like she's like, you know what? Like the world's like going to hell, and like when we were villains, and like so maybe what we need to do is like instead of doing the same like old joke over and over again, let's try and be heroes.
Okay. During the Year of the Villain. How ironic.
It's like Harley found out. She's like, nah.
Yeah. Oh, no, you don't.
No.
Yeah.
But then like all of a sudden, as she's like mentioning this, like these like vines show up and like start attacking Harley, and she's like, okay, maybe you're not into that idea, and like I was like, that's not me.
Right.
And then the door bursts open, and the Floronic Man walks in. Because remember when DC was like, we're going to do a Swamp Thing show, we're going to put the Floronic Man in it, and then we're going to cancel it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody all of a sudden had the Floronic Man on their radar.
Right.
He is part of You're the Villain, though, so
and he's
that
part of
is
that,
their tie-in.
And he's the evil Justly Dark.
Exactly, but he's not really mentioning any of that.
He's just in it because someone said, please, if you're going to use that.
He's in it in as much as it refers to the annual that Justice League Dark did, not to the most recent issue where he was on the, like, Cersei team. Literally, it refers to how the Parliament of Flowers chose a champion, and then he took it.
Yes.
Because Ivy's like, you're not the champion of the Parliament of Flowers.
And he's like, I am now.
Yeah, and like, basically, he wants something from Ivy. Like, he's like...
You have something.
Yeah.
Is it the fertilizer?
We don't know. Like, that's it. Like, that's the end of this issue. So, not really sure where it's going beyond that. It was fun. The art was okay. The art was just okay. I wish it were better. It's just a little stiff and the coloring's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm probably going to pick up the next one, if nothing else, because, like, I would like to see more Poison Ivy books. So, I want to,
Yeah, right?
So, hopefully it'll be good. But, yeah.
I hope so.
More Floronic Man. I mean, at least with Ivy there, it makes sense. And we're also not automatically doing a Joker story.
Plus, like, hey, you know what? Yeah. Is it a, like, shameless tie-in to, like, a show that put their eggs into, but
Yeah.
but at the same time, hey, at least it's Floronic Man.
No, it's true, and I assume that Floronic Man is showing up in Justice League Dark. Again, they did kill the Parliament of Trees, I get it, but like I think they're doing that because there was that. I'm sure. Again, like once somebody gets a character in their head, they hear it mentioned, that can like end up seeping into the work.
Yeah.
And again, this is referencing that annual, but that's kind of it right now.
Fair enough.
So it is. This book is tied to two different things, though. Right now.
Yeah. Neat.
I don't know how much more it'll get into Heroes of Crisis or in Heroes in Crisis beyond this. Beyond
Hopefully
it was
none.
just here was the setup. Now we're just gonna launch
I'm
into
sure
the year of
that's
the
all.
villain.
I guarantee that's all they do.
Yeah,
Silver Cricket says, Michael Jordan, I'm the best basketball player, but what if I played baseball?
yeah.
Yeah, Cash Money in the Bank,
or
same
golf.
deal. Yeah, Michael Jordan playing baseball. Yep, that's a good one.
Hey, yeah.
Mr. Roboto, is ComicPOP really the Midnight Society? Admit it. Well, if you've never seen our Halloween specials, there's some Midnight Society shenanigans going on.
Yeah.
So, check that out. Anyway, more books.
So let's do it.
Spawn 300 came out. We did a whole tie-in episode of Back Issues regarding it. It sets up a new status quo for Spawn, and that's it.
Is he still Spawn?
Yeah.
Is he still not like? Is it still like the original Spawn?
Yeah, it's still Al.
It's still Al, and he's still like
He's
like-
still not alive anymore.
Okay.
Violator steals his costume, so he makes a new one out of sheer awesome. And they also set up like a new status quo for like, his universe and his rogues gallery. It's it is, having read the first 100 issues of Spawn to prep for that episode.
Yeah.
It reads and feels exactly like a Spawn book.
Okay.
So, like, it's, if you have never read Spawn, it's going to be harder for you to, like, acclimate yourself because there's a lot of stuff that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you won't have to acclimate yourself to the writing because it's exactly as it used to be. And that's consistent.
Am I watching him make his outfit?
Yeah, because he lost his symbiote, so he's like, the costume didn't make Spawn. Me being Spawn.
He
made
looks like a
Spawn.
lunatic.
Yeah. I mean, he's Spawn, so, like, he is. But,
So he's just naked.
Yeah, he's just a naked dude with spikes. I mean, if you think this is awesome, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna convince you otherwise, and I don't want to try. It's just ridiculous.
Who was that guy?
That was Redeemer. There was an implication that Snyder wrote like a one of the stories in here.
Yeah.
I, for the life of me, couldn't tell which one it was.
Oh, they didn't give you credits?
They're in there, but I just didn't pay attention.
Oh, okay. That's
like
fair.
they're not in the chapters. They have to be like in the prelude or whatever,
Okay.
like in the previous part. Like, yeah, he did
Chapter 2.
chapter 2. Okay, I really couldn't tell the difference between the writing, which is like good for everyone, I guess. Everyone else writes as good as Scott Snyder would be expected to for Spawn.
Okay.
That's all I can really say. The art is pretty cool. J. Scott Campbell got brought in, which is weird.
What?
But he drew basically it was an excuse to draw a bunch of like classic Spawn stuff, which he does. And it's cool. Again, it's just, it's a Spawn book.
She Spawn?
Yeah, which is an action figure. I don't like read Spawn anymore. So, I'm not the best person to judge it. But it's pretty cool if you like Spawn. That's all.
That's all I have to say about that.
That's all I can say, Like, I gotta tell you, the other thing that was really disappointing for me was the variant covers.
Oh.
Like, those should be the awesomest. And they straight up weren't.
Oh.
And 301 has an Alex Ross cover that isn't anywhere near as awesome as the 100 Alex Ross cover.
Oh.
Which is really weird.
Oh.
Either way, whatever. Again, you like Spawn, you're gonna like this issue. If you don't, this won't change your mind. Cuban Sis says the Spawn imagery was awesome and ridiculous. Yeah, when Violator steals Spawn's costume and Spawn's like, oh, I don't need a costume, blah, blah, gadoosh, rah, let's do this. You're kind of like, all right, I guess that's kind of fun. If you like that kind of thing. And Mr. Supertastic, a back-issues tradition coming, Heroes in Crisis for 300. I don't know if I want to, tarnish our 300th episode, which is coming in 3 episodes, with Heroes in Crisis. I don't want us to be like, woo, it's a centennial, and we'll talk about a book that I just loathe.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. We'll figure it out.
But we will do it at some point in the future.
Figure it out. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I do want to ramp up to something cool.
All right.
What should we do for 300? Let us know.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I have one more.
All right, let's hear it.
Before we get into the 2 big books that everyone actually came here for.
Right.
Listen, you guys could have come for all kinds of things. I don't know. I want to talk about another Boom book. Because I realized I think Once and Future is actually by Boom. I thought it was Dark Horse.
Yeah.
I think, but it was actually Boom.
Oh, shit.
I think. It's another Boom book. Because, Boom, man.
Boom. Here comes the...
Yeah. This is by James Tynion IV.
Oh, I know that guy.
With art... Or illustrated by Werther Delendra.
Delandra?
Deledra.
Or Dealedra.
This is Something is Killing the Children.
Oh.
I remember seeing, kind of solicits for this book and being like, I want to grab this. Last time when we did the show, I did not notice that it was in the list at all. Let's be honest, I didn't see it. And then when I was going through Comixology, literally slowly scrolling on my phone to make sure I don't miss anything.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, I remember this coming out. Purchased. Totally worth the purchase.
Cool.
First issue blew me away. I think on Twitter I called it gripping. I don't think I've really ever used that word.
Not in earnest, no.
But this book was legitimately gripping. This first issue was I am so loving it. It has elements of Stephen King.
Okay.
Stranger Things, witches to some degree, but also is entirely Tynion's own creation.
Nice.
It's about some. It's basically Tynion telling a story it almost seems like it's out of order, and then you realize it's completely in order.
Oh, cool.
So it opens up and these kids are having a sleepover. They're playing Truth or Dare. It's these 4 boys. One of them goes Truth. And they're like, what's the scariest thing that you've seen or experienced or whatever? And this kid starts telling this story about how he was at home and he heard something outside, a moan or something like that. And when he looked, he saw something as though the lights went on and it was as though something were walking towards the house and it stopped and it was just standing there.
Ugh.
And it was taller than the trees and it had sharp teeth and long fingers. And and then he ran and hid, and an hour later it was gone, right?
Okay.
And so he does, and he tells them the story, and right? And he says it came from the ravine, and they're like, oh, let's go, rah! Oh no, it's Truth or Dare. That's what they do. And then we cut, and we're in in a police precinct, and in one of the in the interrogation rooms.
Okay.
And the kid's there who was telling the story.
Oh.
And he's in the same outfit he was at the sleepover, except there's blood on his t-shirt. And they're like, okay, what did you see? And he's just like, I told them the story, but I made it up. It was fake. They always liked me to tell them about their nightmares because they were all messed up. Mm-hmm. But I made this up. And then basically they went to the ravine and he ended up falling. Mm-hmm. And he fell a really far distance. He felt it was maybe 100 feet. Oh. And when he got back up, he just heard them screaming up where he came from.
Yeah.
And it turns out they're all dead.
Mm-hmm.
All the kids, those 3 kids are dead. Kid goes back to school. He gets bullied by I think one of them was either one of the boys is either a friend or a brother, and they give him a hard time. They I think this kid, the indication is this kid is also, he's gay, and they give him a hard time about that, and they're like, that's why you killed him, you must have done it. And it's literally the stuff that happened to these kids this child could not, regardless.
Yeah.
But physically, if you thought for a second this kid could not have done this, but they're all bereaved. There's a really cool principle which has that feeling almost of I Kill Giants, where there's an adult trying to help them out.
Yeah.
The guy's really young. He's like I was just in school maybe a few years ago. I don't know what I'm doing here. He's I don't understand. He's basically, the kid like yelled really loudly and he ended up getting sent to the principal. Like he yelled a curse word and like ended up going to the principal. And he's just like, you should have punched him. If ever there was a kid who deserved to be punched, it's that kid. That kid sucks. He's like, but you didn't. So like, you want to call your dad? You want to go home? Like you can. The kid's like, no, we're watching a movie in English. I kind of want to watch that. And he's like, okay, well, go watch it. Have a good time. He's like, are you okay? And he's like, no. And he's like, yeah,
all right, well, bye.
Neither am I, because like all these other kids have also disappeared and they're gone. He's like, I know they're all dead.
Right.
So the principal's like, ugh. So no, we cut to this like girl who's like sitting in a wagon and like she's missing an arm, or she's missing an arm or a leg. I think it's a leg. No, it's her arm. And like this older like girl comes out of the woods like Buffy-esque.
Okay.
With like a ponytail and a big scary mask and a knife, and she's like, it's done. And then she gets like a call on her flip phone. And like she gets the name of the town that this kid is in, and like she's going there. She's basically a monster hunter, it seems. There's something more to it. We don't know what it is.
She's seen it, yeah.
And like, so when she gets there, there's like a notice board just filled with missing children. And like, I'm like, oh, that sucks. So she finds the kid and she sits down. She's like, I want you to tell me what you saw out there. She's like, I know you think that I'm not going to believe you or that I'm going to think you're crazy. I promise you neither of those things will happen, but you have to tell me what you saw out there. So then we get the actual description of what happened where like he crawls up and it's like, it's a horror show. It's like Saving Private Ryan-esque in terms of what he sees up there. He gets up in the bank. He finds one of his friends. He grabs him. He's like, oh, and like the kid's like freaking out. He's like, I can't feel my legs. And we pull out to see that he has no bottom half.
Right.
Like it's that kind of stuff. There's an actual monster in the woods.
Right.
That is revealed to us as well. And it turns out this chick's going to go like kick its ass.
Right.
And the kid's like, I want to help.
Oh, that's
and I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just so in on this book. The one issue, and I'm already really, like... Invested in the characters and, like, the fate of this town overall. Yeah. So, I like, Tynion's been really killing it with Justice League Dark, and I definitely feel some of the influences I think he might have done, or pulled from doing the Upside Down Man and all of the, like, crazy creatures that came out of that.
Yeah.
So it's almost like he was maybe inspired by his own work to tell this, like, smaller story.
Cool.
Obvious, of course, he is also, a mentored, I guess, to some degree by Snyder, who has done his own story, like Witches, you know what I mean, his own independent book of horror. I wouldn't say that they're necessarily in the same vein of horror, but they're still great. So yeah, Something is Killing the Children by James Tynion. I'm so excited that this book is out right now, and I can't wait for the next issue.
Yeah. Dope.
Yeah.
We're also trying to find it. Somebody in the chat actually mentioned that, like, apparently all the copies were ruined at their store.
So, apparently, Boom is going to be releasing, I think it's 4th reprint of this book.
When did this come out? Last week?
Yes.
How did they do 4 reprints?
They're going to the 4th one. I think they already sent it to 2nd and then 3rd, and they may go to the 4th one.
Where was the first? Wasn't there
not a lot of people ordered it to begin with, I think. I actually don't. I only have a digital version of it, so if you are looking for it, you can get it digitally right now. But my understanding is they've already gone back to reprints on this because it is like getting such praise. So if you're looking for something horror related, right now we're going into October. I'm feeling those vibes. I feel those vibes all year round, but I'm particularly feeling those vibes right now.
Yeah.
I'd definitely go check it out.
Definitely. Cool. Jumping in the super chats, what was it? Price $80.40. You're right, Sal. You can't sell the episode 300 with Heroes in Crisis. Save it for $2.99. So 300 could be something good. We'll see. I don't think I'm going to make it to $2.99 because we have 3 episodes left, I think. And one of them is kind of like, whoops, I didn't realize because we didn't incorporate the end of Bad Issues into the playlist. That was our IDW book, and I was oh, whoops, I didn't.
Well, you could hold it, couldn't you?
No, I don't have anything cut.
Oops.
So the 4th episode before is going to be like a big book, and then hopefully we'll keep doing those.
Okay.
But yeah.
Real quick, I didn't even mention the art is really good. It has some like sort of jock vibes again, like because of that like possible influence of Snyder's work in there. I don't know, but it's not quite that. It's not quite that stylized. So those who are turned off by Jock's art, I think you'll be able to get into this. I just wanted to mention that, and it's also like the color's cool.
Nice. Silver Cricket says 300 episode. Avengers #1. No. It'll take like 2 seconds, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
Preston Bryant, what is it with artists having difficult names to pronounce?
They just like to challenge me.
You know what it is? It's just like they're saddled with a hard to say name, so they're like, well, I've got to make my name somewhere. I'm gonna make the world have to say my name.
Yeah. Say my name.
Moonchild. Heartless Fang, maybe 52 for 300. 52 would be cool. Mr. Supertastic, Secret Wars. It's kind of an event. It's kind of a crisis for Marvel and great. Hickman is relevant right now. Doctor Strange is there.
Yeah, but I did read it all.
You did read it all.
I've read it all.
Yeah.
In fact, I think most of us
did read it all. Yeah, really, only Tiffany and I read it all.
Yeah.
Ethan quit pretty much at around issue 3, and
no, but Ben was there.
yeah, Ben did read at least all the tie-ins.
Yeah, but you never know what Ben remembers.
No, that's true. That's true. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and just to I do see people are answering in the chat. The book I was just talking about it's from Boom, so that might be why you're also not just if you go to a comic book store, it's not going to be from Image. You would think this would be from Image. It's from Boom. Something is killing the children.
Yeah,
the weirdest name.
Great title,
but I love it.
And Once and Future is also by Boom, as you know.
Yes. So it's if you're looking for your next Kieran Gillen book.
Right?
That or Die.
Yeah.
And then this is great too. So
yeah. Let's talk about House of X, I guess. Because it's Doomsday Clock and House of X.
Yeah, and I feel like we have more House of X and more Hickman X-Men that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
So why not savor or hang on to Doomsday Clock?
Yeah.
One more few moments.
Yeah.
One more few moments.
Hickman and Lara's House of X is the most straightforward, except of course it isn't, because you don't know what timeline it takes place in.
Yeah.
The second that they sent Expendable X-Men into space, I'm like, okay, it's not the regular timeline because you're gonna kill people. Plus, Tiffany had that theory about pod people. Obviously, it's the thing. But yeah, so the story is all about the X-Men kind of getting. It's really for me, this felt like a bloody revenge book, because it's the X-Men being like everyone's had it.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's sick of it. We've got all the I don't know what would you call it, the baggage of being the X-Men, with all the stakes that could only be built from 6 issues through 9 issues if you combine Pox and Hawks together, and it's I don't know. It was a really visceral, quick read that was deceptively straightforward.
Yeah.
The supplemental stuff, I think that's the least amount of supplemental stuff.
Yeah, but there's a lot to it. I think to some it's weird because it's obviously they talk about those who have wronged the X-Men,
right? And you're okay,
or the mutants overall. Wanda's in there.
Yeah, Wanda's in there as a human.
Yeah.
So we have not retconned that she is a mutant again.
Yeah.
Yet.
Well, they call her the Pretender.
Yeah.
The Pretender Wanda Maximoff.
So I guess Hickman was on board with Marvel keeping up the retcon that she and Pietro are no longer mutants.
Right. Or it could.
That sucks.
Or it could just be that they're no, you're not a mutant because a mutant wouldn't do that.
We kicked you out.
Yeah, you're a mutant, but you're not because you wouldn't have done that.
You've never been an X-Man. You've only been an Avenger, you jackasses. Yeah, but that for me, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
So, but I hope it's that. I hope it's that it's more like they were excommunicated.
Right.
But I hope that Hickman also is, because Hickman could literally add a panel that just says oh, by the way, things I don't like about what Marvel did, oh, Spider-Man's married again. He could just literally stick 3 panels in there. And Marvel's like, okay, whatever you want to do, Hickman.
Yeah.
Just as long as you stay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This was the first issue though that I actually questioned a small detail that I was like, why? We have this whole setup here at the beginning where it's we're gonna use this really ridiculous communications.
Yeah, our weird Man of Steel 3-dimensional water rain setup.
And that's really what it was. We're we need to communicate long into deep space. I'm just using that as a term.
Yeah, it's deep space.
With the team that is going to stop Mother Mold.
Yep.
And in order to do that, we're going to need to use combine all of our brains together in order to adjust and change the plan as we go and understand the information that we're getting.
Yes.
By using the Stepford Cuckoos to
communicate into Storm's head?
Well, no, the Sephra Cuckoos are taking like Beast, the mutant I don't know who she is,
Right.
and Storm, and letting them like kind of like hive mind with Professor X, as they're communicating with Jean, who's being powered or like, basically
Augmented.
Augmented or like boosted by Monet.
Yes.
The thing I don't get is, why do we need the water face?
Because it looks dope.
It does look dope. Let's be honest.
It looks freaking awesome.
It's amazing looking. It's very cool. But it's all happening in your heads.
Right, but also, now you can't use Storm on your big missions in space.
I guess.
But I guess there's no weather in space
What's
or
she
whatever.
gonna do?
So, all right. But that being said, yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's also completely awesome.
But it's so, like, that was, like, I was reading...
Like, why did you do that? Because it looks awesome.
So, yeah, okay.
Hickman's like, there's some things I just can't help. But, yeah, that explosion, we were like, oh, did Kurt, like, teleport them out? Nah.
No.
Everyone's wrecked. Kurt's gonna die. He's got internal bleeding. Wolverine's
Angel's dead.
hurt.
Husk
didn't make it. How come she didn't just blast off the parts that didn't work?
Because she was dead.
She was husked.
Yeah.
So
you
anyway,
just got husked.
Yeah, husked. Which is to say, killed off panel and nobody cared.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like, and the short version is like, the X-Men go and try to complete their mission.
Yeah.
The humans are galvanized by mostly their leader, or the head of scientist is her husband sacrificing himself, makes her like that much more galvanized.
Yeah.
And so it's a visceral fight to the finish, where the explosion severed 2 of the 4 connections to Mother Mold.
They actually completed their task. Like they're like, no, we're gonna complete the mission because like Professor X is like, knowing the losses they have, he's like,
we have to win.
Yeah, no matter like whatever it takes,
right?
Whatever the cost, it doesn't matter. You're doing it. So Kurt, even though he's injured, like teleports Mystique, Wolverine, and Cyclops to the places on the ship they're meant to be.
Yep.
Kurt goes and takes care of one of them. Wolverine goes and takes care of one of the couplings as well.
Yep.
They're like, kadoom, 2 of them are down, right?
So, it's a race against time. Monet shoves Jean into an escape pod.
Yeah, because like basically the chick's like the scientist is with what's her name? Something.
Oh yeah, the future the character who looks exactly like the one from friggin' Powers of X.
Yeah, which I think it is because
Yeah.
like, she's like the next evolution in like Sentinel. She's got like the nano Sentinel thing in her, which I can't remember her name for anything.
Yeah.
It's like a word. Somebody knows it.
It's like a word.
It's
Someone
like a
in the chat will
word.
say it. I don't remember her name.
Whatever it is. But she's like, I'm not in charge of like of the security here. You are, so you have to like really like stand up and like get your shit together here. So they basically send a bunch of guards off.
Yep.
So like they're like, you got to bring them here.
Go kill the X-Men.
But they're like, but we already sent some to the ship, so like they're busting in. So Monet shoves Jean in the pod. She's like, you'll have to take care of things from here on out. And then she like turns into a monster and starts fighting them.
Omega Sentinel.
I'm like, that's her name. Thank you, Omega.
Yes.
Where did I get X from? Because everything else is X.
Yes, and because you thought it was the Terminatrix.
No, I did not. So Jean Grey has to like keep up the communications on
by
her
herself,
own,
which is a
which
classic
I love that.
X-Men
She's like,
thing.
how am I supposed to do that without you helping me? She's like, I don't know what to
because
tell
you're
you.
strong.
No, she doesn't say that. She's like, I don't know what to tell you, Marvel.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're gonna have to try harder.
Right. Because
like,
you're not the real Marvel girl, so the Phoenix isn't coming to save you.
I just love the fact that she's like, no,
just do it harder. I don't know.
Get good.
Yeah.
Is basically what she tells her.
Right.
So basically, Mystique goes to do her thing.
Yep, she infiltrates, but then she friggin' loses anyway. But yeah, she.
Well, no, she attempts to like she infiltrates by turning into the thing, and then she has the clamp where the scientist and Omega are.
Yep.
And she just gets blasted into space.
Yeah, doesn't work out for her.
Nope, she's gone. So
say goodbye to Mystique.
Sorry, Mystique, not today. You can turn into whatever you want out there. It's not gonna stop your
as long as it doesn't
from...
breathe. As long as it breathes, you did.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's not working out so well for you. Then Cyclops goes for his, which I think he succeeds.
Yeah,
he gets his, and then they realize that like the third one's. Like, the last one, Mystique's isn't being taken down and Mystique's gone. Because they're like, oh, shit. Like,
exactly.
Because we're all connected.
Yeah.
Mystique's out of this.
Oh, and by the way, the other thing, the reason why we're in haste is because she's gonna turn on the Sentinel. She's like, we just gotta turn it on.
Yeah.
Screw it.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, but and there's this interesting thing, and I guess that's the whole theme of this whole friggin' series, is that AI is scary and dangerous because, like, Mother Mold isn't supposed to go online for a while because we need to make sure the insanity safeguards are in place.
Well, it's not just that. Like, they're not turning her on until the AI evolves past the insanity, I think.
Yes. Or at least, like, the potential for insanity. I love it because, like, they imply, like, there's a possibility it may go crazy.
Yeah.
Like, every movie sci-fi artificial intelligence entity does. Mm-hmm. But then, like, they turn it on, and I love it because it immediately goes insane.
Well, she turned it on too early. Omega's like, it may not be ready.
Well, it may not be ready. Oh, I know. But my point
the
is,
scientist is like...
There's no reason... Like, it's so funny because it's like, maybe her mission might actually be successful. But then, like, the Mother Mold starts saying all this crazy shit, and you're like, oh, it was never going to work out.
Right. Or they just literally needed to finish cooking.
Right.
It wasn't soup.
It
wasn't quite there.
Yeah. So anyway,
so it's powering up. They've got 30 seconds. It takes 30 seconds to turn on Mother Mold. It takes most computers. My
computer, like another minute or two.
Yeah, it takes like that. But it's like, seriously, 30 seconds to power up Mother Mold.
Right. Well, software,
She's gigantic.
Yeah.
What? I feel like there needs to be more people to flip switches and
just
touch buttons. I don't know.
It's just turning it on. It's just one button.
It's just one big button on.
But they got to get the last coupling.
You turn it, it says no.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a cool, like, visual.
Yeah.
Scott's on one side of this big ring. Wolverine and Kurt are, like,
on the
other side, basically. And, like, basically Scott's like, we can't get it, like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, and Wolverine
and basically, Professor X is like, just do it.
Yeah, do the thing.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, like, Wolverine is like, we can get it.
Yeah.
Oh no, like, that's right, Kirk says, like, we can get it, and, like, Wolverine's like, this is the only way we can do this.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, literally, like, Nightcrawler takes Wolverine and they bamf out in space.
Yeah.
Kurt immediately burns up because they're near a sun. And Wolverine, as he's burning, just starts, like, hacking away at it.
I'll reconstitute as much as I can.
It's fine. I got this.
This is fine.
Yeah. This is fine.
Yeah. But as he burns away, the Sentinel the Mother Mold just starts, like, babbling nonsense about destroying all life as opposed to just mutant life. And then falls into the friggin'...
But basically, it's like, like, I'm your child, like, like, you're like the Titans to the Greek gods,
yes.
like, whatever, like, but you're all fighting and all, like, amongst one another, and the only way to fix this is by killing you all.
Exactly.
And I'm like, interesting.
And then it just falls into oblivion. It's like, we will kill you.
Right, now, of course, it is AI, so who the hell knows what could have been...
No, it's dead. I think that's it.
Okay.
Because I think since this is not... Wolverine's dead, this ain't the prime timeline.
Or it is, and that's not Wolverine.
Well, I mean, like, none of them are.
That Wolverine is. So, then, Cyclops is like, cool, we did it.
All right, Jean, I'll come back for you.
Yeah, she's like, I'm in a tube, basically. And he's like, no, it's cool. I'll find a suit and I'll, like, shoot out to you and I'll use my optic blast and shoot us home.
Yeah.
And nope. He gets
Omega Sentinel shoots him in the back.
Yeah, with like some nano things which like help to inhibit his powers because the scientist wants to kill him.
Yeah.
And he's just like, sorry, Jean, I'm not gonna make it.
Yeah, and she's like, neither am I.
Well, she doesn't know then. Like, it's a really cool visual of like
how he dies and how she feels it.
Yeah.
Because they have their minds connected at the same time.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Yeah, like his the visor's like blasted apart and like she's just screaming. And then meanwhile back on Earth, they're like, hey, the Sentinels are on their way. Remember they called those Sentinels?
Yeah, from the other planet? Yeah.
Yeah, they're here. And because they're Sentinels, they're looking for the mutants. So they find Jean's pod and they all like
just rip
descend
it apart.
on it. And she's just in her pod screaming.
Yeah.
And then she dies.
Yep.
And then Professor X is sad.
Yeah, and there's this brilliant graphic, and I don't mean like, obscene or like with guts and stuff, just graphic image of Professor X like weeping over the loss.
Yeah.
And saying no more, which is how the book opened.
Yep.
And it's just referring, and I guess this is a timeline that's very similar to our previous one, because all the same shit happened.
Right.
Including, like, Ben Grimm getting married and stuff. But, like, where we see all the stuff that has happened to mutants.
Yeah.
Up to and including this thing. And so
Right.
I think this is what's going to inform, like, I think most of us are thinking, like, this is going to inform, like, Moira's next venture, which is today.
Okay. Because I really thought that this could still be the current timeline.
Yeah.
And that, again, like, that just wasn't our mutants.
Right.
And
I
they're
don't
just
know.
someplace else. And so, like, he'll just...
he'll just pop out a few more.
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't think he'd be that upset.
You gotta put him in the microwave and
Yeah, and you pop out. I don't know.
He still felt it all. He still felt their lives like end. Like,
right. But no, but I think
together.
that kind of crescendo of an ending.
Yeah.
Was their way of being like, this Professor X is like, this is the end of
I guess
everything.
I'm struggling with that because like Powers of X was dealing with the different timeline like things, and now like the idea of transitioning that into House of X.
But they're both the same series.
No, they are.
Pox and Hawks are the same book.
Right.
2 books, 1 series, 1 story.
Right, but traditionally so far we've seen the exploration of timelines in Powers of X as opposed to in Heroes.
Well, and this could be the tipping point for this book,
It
where
could
it's
be.
like they're gonna really start to intersect with each other.
Yeah, I mean, like, there are only how many issues left of Heroes of X or
Right?
House of X? Heroes of X.
I think. What are we in issue 4 or 5?
Go back. Let's go back. It's 4. Right?
Yeah, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 more issues to go.
Yeah, we only have 2.
We're halfway done.
We only have 2 more of House of
Hawks,
X. So
yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to see how it goes. I also noticed, like, I've been trying to pay attention. I didn't really pay attention before to the red.
Yes.
Why are some of them red?
Yeah, maybe red ones are alternate timelines and black ones aren't. Maybe red ones are regular time. I don't know.
Oh, maybe they could be the regular one. I
don't know. I never thought about it. I didn't think about the red and black. That's
Because
crazy.
it's like I'd have to go back and check the other issues. I'm sure somebody else already has, so like I should just look it up and see.
Yeah, I don't know. But so, yeah, recommending it. Yeah, it's a great book. This was really cool. And
this was like a really, I think, amazing like example of like emotionally charged issues, regardless of whether or not it actually is a thing that actually happened or hasn't happened.
Yeah.
What a great opportunity for the artist to draw like these incredible moments.
Yeah, let's have Pepe Larraz kill off like Wolverine and Kurt, and because Kurt and Logan are such good friends.
Yeah.
It's even though like when they killed Angel, I'm like, oh, it's all fake.
Yeah.
Okay, timelines.
Really?
Yep, immediately. Because I'm a comic book reader. I'm like, nope, you're relaunching X-Men.
Yeah.
You're not gonna do that by killing off half of them.
I mean, it could just be that, like, if this is the timeline that we've been currently in, and that, like, maybe by the end of this, the next timeline will be
10 or 11.
Well, or maybe that's, like, the current, like, one, but it's, like, whatever's going on currently and Moira will change whatever,
Right.
like, post-Heroes and House of X. But that, like, maybe Professor X is crying in this because it's just, like...
It never works.
This is the only thing we attempted, that, like, where it was just like, well, let's just kill the X-Men.
Right. Well, I was gonna say maybe he's
throw everything at it.
Maybe he's crying because remember, this is supposedly the timeline where they threw away the rule book.
Right.
And it's like, we always lose.
Yeah.
Like every time. Like we blew up the head, but like these are my best agents, and they're all dead, and they're also like, and they matter to me. And Storm, you're my phone though.
Apparently.
And also, it's dead. Like I didn't pay my.
You're my FaceTime.
You're my FaceTime, but like I don't pay my data plan now because Jean's dead. Like it's just me now, and Cypher, I guess. Like what? Anyway, it's stakes are high. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I hope it's just a really, really amazing story that doesn't
Me too.
taint the relaunch. Like the relaunch should be just really cool and fun. I don't know. We'll see. It's gonna be great. Cash Money in the Bank says, keep up the awesome, y'all. Thank you very much. You too, my friend. Thank you. Not Nachikit Naik says, Stanley presents DC. Just imagine for 300. There's so many. It's an omnibus, man. I don't know. And they're all individual stories. So be like, tell 40 stories.
Yeah.
King's Portical says Dark Victory for 300. Nah, it's a sequel. We're not doing sequels for 300. We will do Dark Victory at some point, but we're not doing sequels for 300.
Okay.
Algie Try, Hells to the Yes, it's ComicPOP Live. Quick, do that stern look. I don't know what that means, but like, I'll try. Thank you. I don't know what that means, but I mean, I do look stern. You'll see me do it when we talk about the next book. Mr. Supertastic says, not a fan of the issue because there's too much death and not enough breathing space to feel the weight of sacrifice. Makes it feel irrelevant. I think you're supposed to know it's irrelevant. I think you're supposed to so it's just kind of like take those moments. Kurt and Logan have the big moment, But Laura's like, but I want to do that really cool, like, Jean feels Scott's death sequence.
Well, I really, you know what it is? It's like, yes.
I really expected her to become Phoenix.
But she didn't.
I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, in that moment.
Yeah, but like, because I'm like, well, now we're in an alternate timeline. Maybe the Phoenix never came. Like,
you know what's interesting about that? It's not. Did Moira just never see that happen?
Yeah.
Did Moira just never see Jean Grey become the Phoenix? Because, like, how is that not part of your plan?
Right, how is Phoenix not part of your plan? I guess because you can't control it. But you could control Jean and help her, like, be better at it. Oops.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll get that later.
All right.
Yeah, no, I liked the quick death in this only because of the fact that, like, for me, as much as the characters I think that they chose to kill off deserved probably to have a little bit more oomph behind it, I feel like the point of it was to understand the, like, nature of the mission they were on, like how high stakes it was and how willing they were and how much they believed in what they were doing, and how much they would follow Professor X to the ends of the universe.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
Weeby and Geeky says, why did Magneto go along and push it into the sun? I don't know. Any metal mission, you just send Magneto.
Yeah.
TARDIS Man 85, not gonna lie, the Logan Kurt scene got me. I think it was supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, like, what I actually liked about that more was Cyclops looking out as, like
as Wolverine dies and says, the bravest man I ever knew.
Yeah, I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah. Mr. Supertastic, I like Kurt with Wolverine. The Sentinel prose, great/scary. Yes, it was. I'm really looking forward to the next one, Magneto Xavier discussing. Yeah, I hope so. We'll see. Also, the network is going to be used to control humans, right? I don't know. Maybe. Right? I believe we're in the real timeline, which is 10, but Moira has secret life number 11 that will resurrect everyone. Yeah, this could be 10, and then, like, the relaunch is 11. That's my expectation. Right,
but if they relaunch the X-Men there... Okay, so this is where I'm, like, struggling in terms of what is a timeline versus what is just a redo, because if the relaunch is the next... If the relaunch is the next timeline, like I think that's what they're saying, that, like, 10 is now. 10 is Hawks. But then if we do 11, it's the relaunch. How can they interact with any other characters?
Right.
Because we wouldn't be telling stories about them.
Because Moira's going to die at the end of 10.
Right, but no, what I mean, like, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Thor, like, what timeline are they in? Because I assume if 10 is the real timeline, the stories we're reading about now are in 10. Otherwise,
that House of X and Hawks and Pox are basically like a retcon, and that all that shit happened or didn't happen.
No, I know, but they're saying that, like, they were thinking that
there are no other books that reference these.
No,
What?
No, I know that. No, they were saying that the real timeline is 10.
Oh, then it's not.
Right, because it's like, then you wouldn't be telling stories.
Exactly.
Like,
no, it couldn't be. Because,
that's what I was trying to get to.
No, you're right. Louis Southard says, I always assumed that year 1000 was Moira's secret sixth life, and that the timeline where she sided with the machines instead of the humans are mutants. Yeah.
Yeah, could be.
That could be. We're definitely going to see that, so.
I hope so.
You'll be vindicated either way.
I really hope it all makes sense at the end.
It will.
That's like my number one hope. It all makes sense.
I have no doubt that it will. And finally, Doomsday Clock number 11 from Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, the most irrelevant book of the year. It went from the biggest, most important thing to the least, and that is a damn shame, because this book will read great. No one will know when it's all collected, like when it's all put together in trade. No one will know, like, what this was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
They'll only get to read this, like, cool book that felt a little rushed at the end.
Right.
And will wonder why it even exists. Because why does it exist? Like, what is this? Like,
right.
Because Devil's Advocate for a second. Doomsday Clock was the big crescendo to Rebirth. It was when they launched Rebirth, when they launched this publishing initiative, they're like, here's this thing, and there's breadcrumbs that lead to this book, and, like, the button was this kind of, like, stopgap so that Gary Frank could draw some more, and it's still delayed, but Doomsday Clock is the end game. It's where it's all culminating to, and then the Doomsday Clock end result will be the new status quo. And I'm not talking about, like, a retcon or a reboot, although I'm sure something to that effect was definitely considered. But it absolutely was going to be in my opinion and in my estimation, based on my years of experience and my connection to the internal workings of these companies, is that like that was gonna be the next phase. That like Rebirth was like, okay, that's Rebirth, that's phase 1, and then like Doomsday Clock is the wrap up of that phase, and then phase 2 is like where it goes from there. It's why like Saturn Girl is this element, this like MacGuffin character, and why the Justice Society is this like linchpin, and why no one remembers them, and why like Jay Garrick shows up at the end of the button, but Flash doesn't recognize him. You know, like all this stuff, it was all culminating to this thing where, you know, the sequence where Wally and Barry embrace and Barry rescues Wally, it's absolutely representative of like what it was supposed to be and where and what it like we're bringing things back and we're changing the continuity, right? That's what I think they were heading towards and what they were working towards, and now it won't be, and it can't be,
right?
Because it's not, because things that this is like teasing are no longer connected,
right?
Like Dr. Manhattan moving the battery away from, you know, Alan Scott, and so he dies instead of becoming the Green Lantern, and the JSA isn't formed, and the whole Superman hypertime, like, no, what do they call it?
The Superman?
Yeah, like his time, like it was like it was a meta term. I can't remember it now because it was 3 months.
I don't
since
remember
the last
that
one.
at all. No, there's nothing I remember that.
But like
that
it was,
back.
but like they refer to like a new way of time in DC that is like a meta response to editorial retconning. Like Superman does exist through like from the 30s to now, and that his origins keep getting rebooted.
Right.
And it's like that Manhattan was the one who was moving it, and that metaverse. It was that we're not in a multiverse, we're in a metaverse. So awesome, such a great, thoughtful concept. Plus the whole Watchmen angle. We didn't even get a chance to talk about like that, like the whole element of like, what does Watchmen have to do with it? Why do Watchmen? What are we gonna do with the Watchmen character or the universe or those characters? How will they impact or respond to or influence the universe here? But if this is just a 12-issue miniseries that was cool and is outside of continuity, then what was the point? Like, why comment on Superman being in a metaverse and that like it all like is connected to Superman's like retconning if it's just some kind of like Elseworlds book?
I mean, it could just also be an exploration of that concept.
Sure, but it's not going anywhere. And why use Watchmen to do it? If it's just like a, hey, that's a thought exercise, then it's irresponsible to like change or sequelize Watchmen to do that.
Right.
Anyway, so this story is that like Batman stops a nuclear attack. Oh, did he? Like, that's the cover of this issue, but it sure happens in 2 panels. I guess we'll move on from that because there's no time. So then there's the whole like Black Adam in Kahndaq, and he's forming this super villain or no meta-human army and like nation state, and he's like, I guess we'll just attack Earth now. Like everything is ramped up. There's no time for anything. Everything is just this, and then Saturn Girl is a prisoner of Ozymandias, and Ozymandias monologues at her, and he explains everything.
Yeah.
And then she disappears.
Yes.
So she was never relevant. She didn't matter to the story anymore.
No, I think she does. I think that like Ozymandias realizes that he's affected things because she does disappear.
Right. I mean, like,
so
certainly
it's like she's like a litmus test.
Yes.
And so like I think to him it is important that she's there.
Yeah.
And so like if she returns at the end, we know that things have either healed themselves or not, depending on if she comes from a future that was affected or not affected by Manhattan, I guess.
Lex Luthor has found all the John photographs throughout the eras, I guess, when he impacted or influenced time. That is a part of it that wasn't before, but now it is. Alfred read Rorschach's journal, tries to recruit the new Rorschach back. He rejects him and leaves.
Yeah.
You know, it's... Marion and Mime show up, and then Ozymandias explains why they were in the book, and now they're not anymore. Like,
well, they're there.
Yeah, but it's like they were really important. We dedicated 3 whole issues to them, and then they're here, and then they're not anymore. Like, it's just, there's no time.
I mean, I guess.
It's almost like they ran out of time,
No, this book,
but they planned 12 issues.
I feel like this book was more meant to be a catch-up. Like,
what?
Hi, just in case you didn't understand what was going on, I'm going to make sure you do understand.
What?
I mean, Veidt is the kind of guy who does do that sort of thing.
Yeah, but, like, no. It's 12 whole issues.
Mm-hmm.
You have it. If you planned this and it's 3 years old or whatever, don't hold my hand at the penultimate issue. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, so it all culminates in the.
Well, maybe, I mean, like, it could just literally be that they're like, no, I want to make sure that you get this next issue. Like,
right.
Like, I want you to have the full impact of what is coming next.
Yeah. So then Black Adam's like, I'm gonna take over the United States. So then he and his meta-human army attack. Superman stands in their way, and then he bumps into Dr. Manhattan, and so here comes the end of the book.
Right.
The book introduces the concept of the metaverse. It's impossible to not meta-read this issue. And as such, it's not possible to divorce it from the stuff around it and what else is going on with it. And so it's hard to talk about it as, like, issue 11 of Doomsday Clock. Oh, cool! Like, Batman does this thing, and then Superman fights Black Adam, and oh no! Like, but also, though, it's supposed to be doing something, and it's not anymore, so now what is it supposed to be? Yeah. Now what does it mean? What is this issue about now?
Right, well, I mean, you can't really control that. I mean, like, if Editorial decides it doesn't mean anything anymore, like, at least he's able to tell the story.
Except you know that he also changed things because of that.
See, I was actually rethinking all of that.
Right.
I was rethinking that, when they tie it into Heroes in Crisis?
Yeah, that was... I think that was obviously a retcon.
No, I think that he did that almost like maybe he thought that they were going to not keep this continuity. And so
he's like...
I'm going to cement it.
Yeah, no, actually it is.
You can't ignore this book as being, like, if you want to know when this book came out, now you know when this book came out.
Yeah, now they reference Heroes in Crisis. They mention Sanctuary.
Like, there was just, like, a moment I was reading this, I was like, I wonder if he did that on purpose, where he's just like, nope.
It feels like...
No, like, I did this.
It's funny, because, like, we're about to build up towards, like, this big fight, which we know is not going to be a fight, because Jeff Johns has said out loud a number of times, and who knows if he's lying, but, like, we've heard a number of times that the battle between Superman and Dr. Manhattan is going to be ideological and less about, like, fists. I think it's funny because this is building towards this, like, grand battle of, like, powers, and there's also one going on in this book's editorial bullpen where, like, Johns and everyone else are fighting and butting heads against, like, what this means and where DC is going. It's almost like one person, Superman, wants DC to go in one direction, and all the other, like, powers want it to go in another direction that is, like, as the reader are supposed to think is wrong.
Right. I mean, like, it's funny because it's like, yes, I definitely see that, but I guess reading this, and I don't know if it's just, I think it's just my interpretation of it.
Yeah.
But, like, I see the battle really is between, like, Ozymandias and Dr. Manhattan. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know why, but, like, that's just, like, what I don't know if that's just a holdover from watching.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They want you, I mean, like, for some reason, like, he's really, like, he's got something going on, but, like, despite his monologue where he basically explains what everyone's role is, including New Rorschach and who he actually is and where he actually came from and what it matters, he's used as that device, but he doesn't really do much.
Who, Ozymandias?
Ozymandias, yeah.
I'm wondering if, like, his end goal isn't, like, because I don't know, because, like, again, like, reading these issues so spread out, and, like, should I be doing my due diligence and, like, going back and
reading the other issues?
Yeah, I really should, but I haven't been, partially because that's just... No, I don't have time to do that.
No.
Each time this comes out, I don't have time to reread this whole thing.
No, I hear you.
But also because it's like, I want the experience of, like, what is this like if you are just reading these and just picking them up each
and
time
the experience
it's rough.
Is rough.
It's rough. But it feels like Ozymandias' end goal is to, like, make John feel bad about not helping.
Right.
Like, their world died.
How profound.
where it's just like, you're gonna meet this guy who's gonna teach you like why you're wrong.
Right. Okay. That'd be cool. I'd be okay with
Like,
that.
I don't think that's what's gonna happen, but wouldn't that be like spectacular? Where it's just like you did all of this just to prove me wrong.
Yeah, like I could never have convinced you, but I know someone who could.
Yeah.
Except he didn't know that he existed until he showed up.
Right. Well, he came here, like, he had all of these, like, he brought Rorschach, he brought Mary to Mime in order to try to convince John. When that didn't work, he did what he does best, which was he watched and he learned about the world around him and then started putting another plan into place.
Yes. No, I agree.
I don't know if that really is, at the end of the day, going to be what this is really, truly about.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think, in particular, this issue is going to be bizarre in trade.
Yeah.
Because it's like, for me, this was a welcomed reminder of things that came to be and things that might be actually important. Mm-hmm. But, like, for, like, reading the trade, to be like, cool, I'm reading this trade. Okay, cool, what are we doing right now?
Right.
Why are we going through? I just read all of this.
Right, exactly.
You know? And it's like, oh, and again, it could just be a clarifier. Like, these are the things you need to pay attention to. Focus.
Right, exactly.
Or just the nature of Vite, where it's just like, I really think very highly of myself.
Well, he definitely does that.
Like, hey, look, somebody needs to appreciate how much work I did, and the cat can't talk.
Right. So that's all we got. No, that's fair. Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying there. Ultimately, it is well written. It looks very good.
Yeah.
And it looks like Johns is sticking to his guns. Mm-hmm. No pun intended. But there's the backups have like Lex Luthor has been kind of like monitoring everything in his own Ozymandiasian way, where he's like, I watch what John's been doing, and I have all these collections of like what's been going on, including the first like multiversal crisis, which was like the Flash's meeting and stuff.
Right.
Also, John's like defiantly included that moment where Wally and Barry like embrace again, where he's like, no. Because like that, and that's for me the most damning piece of it, the thing that makes me like the most frustrated, is the fact that in Heroes in Crisis, Wally is like, I'm supposed to be like this hope, and I'm not, and he is outright railing against what he represents to the DC universe and the characters therein in Heroes in Crisis. And we know he's DC's like golden boy.
Yeah.
Like we know he's the guy that they get to do whatever they want, and that he like is a company man who's happy to just like toe the company line and be like, yo, like don't blame Didio, don't blame so and so, like it's my book. Like anything that I did was not editorially driven, it was me. Yeah. And also like that's true in as much as I am also untouchable and I'm uneditable, but like I'm happy to let them because like I'm also just happy to have a job. So, And I also want to like ingratiate myself with Warner Brothers executives so I can make like shows and stuff and movies and whatnot.
Yeah.
But we know that because he's like the company man and he gets like that what he's doing is he's like the mouthpiece or the inadvertent representative of what's going on back there.
Yeah.
And so we know based on King's meta writing, and it's either King writing that or King being told to write that. Either way, that complete rewriting, that retcon of Wally and what he represents from Rebirth to now is a reaction that says we don't want to do what Johns was doing. We don't want to have that happen.
I guess.
For me, that says that in like at the top of their lungs.
Yeah.
And so it makes Doomsday Clock all the more vexing and difficult to get through because you're like, you are fighting like an unstoppable force. Like, you are fighting against. You're tilting at windmills at this point. And so, for him to put that moment in there in a book that was probably drawn like about a month ago or less, says to me like, no, I am absolutely saying that what I said in Rebirth matters and is part of my whole narrative.
Yeah.
But what Heroes in Crisis says is the exact opposite of that. And so it makes Doomsday Clock kind of like this interesting like counterculture. Like this is the biggest book from DC. It's a huge seller. A lot of momentum fell off of it because of its delays. And I gotta tell you, like, I'm sure it pisses a lot of people off at the editorial level. like that they have to put it out.
Yeah,
anymore.
that people still want it.
I
They
think
still want to know.
Yeah, that people ask them about it. Like, we're talking about the next thing, and Snyder's doing this whole Perpetua, and they're like, yeah, when's Doomsday Clock coming out? And they're like,
Right.
oh my god, could you shut up about this thing that like is putting us in a direction that we don't want to go in? Like, that's how it feels.
Right, but and like that to me, like speaks to a larger issue at DC, which is like leadership and also like a commitment to telling stories. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm not saying that you like when you have a shared universe, you have to communicate with one another, and you can't.
You have to have a plan.
You have to have a plan. You
a
can't
timeline. You gotta
let
have like
people go crazy and just write whatever. I understand that because you have a shared universe.
Right.
You're not running Image. You're not running Boom. You're not running Dark Horse. It's different.
But you do run DC, and so as such, you had
Yeah.
imprints. You know, like, oh, I want to keep. We got these hot writers. I want to keep them.
Yeah.
Like, well, then keep them satisfied. I want to write Justice League. Okay, you got it. By the way, there's rules to that. Like, you know, oh well, I want to do my own thing. That's cool. There's an Elseworlds label. You just write whatever you want, and put it over there. But
you have to have a commitment to those labels. Like, again, I don't want to beat this dead horse. They created Black Label,
right?
And then they immediately were like, never mind.
Oh wait, yeah, Black Label. We could do anything. Oh, except for that.
Right.
Oh, never mind. None of it.
And that's where it's like, so, like, it just seems like there's no commitment to telling a good story. And so when Doomsday Clock, which is a competently written book with a lot going on in it, with, like, really intricate panels, combining two universes that people are interested in, so you have this really strong story, don't be surprised that people want it because they want stories.
Yeah, they love stories. That's your business. I understand your business is selling books, but those books have stories within the pages. You're not selling 32 pages of cool, colorful art that everyone wants to have on their walls. You're doing that too, presumably, but like those stories have to go in sequence in a narratively satisfying way.
Yeah.
For that, it's like I don't understand how you can miss the mark so hard. And it's also frustrating for Doomsday Clock because, like, you have this intricate book that has, like, it's dense and it's totemic and you gotta, like, dig through. And also, I've gotta think about what you're doing at the business side of it. Like, I gotta think about how your editorial department is working on this book. Like, it's hard enough to just penetrate the book narratively speaking, but then I gotta read it because it's narratively unsatisfying to know that there's other elements that are at play. Like, if you're doing your job, you're telling your stories properly. We were watching It Chapter 2 from Red Letter Media. They did the Half in the Bag, and they were talking about, like, the sound issues during a dinner scene. And they're like, you know, Bill Hader's talking off screen, then they cut to him and he's not talking.
Yeah.
And it's like, if the scene is competently done, and if it's engaging, I don't give a shit about that kind of thing. I never notice it.
Yeah.
But I only notice it when I'm not engaged. Right? Like,
right.
If that scene is boring, then I'm gonna notice the technical faults and problems.
Yeah.
I'm gonna notice that, like, you know, you open that fortune cookie, but it's full in the next shot.
Yeah.
But if the story is engaging, you won't notice all that stuff.
Right.
Because you're, like, pulled into the story. With Doomsday Clock, it's because of its corruption.
Yeah.
It's hard to really enjoy it as a story.
Right. Well, I guess I think where that might be going is, like, the story itself is engaging, but however, the fact that the story is no longer engaged with the rest of the DC universe is where things start to fall apart, because it's like, pitch this to us.
Yeah, this is
as being a, like, game changer for the DC universe.
Yes, and now more than 2/3 way through,
we're saying it's not anymore.
Oh, actually, it's a really cool story though. It's just its own thing.
Right. And here's the thing: if you had said that to begin with, we would be in a definitely different boat.
Totally.
But you can't sell us on this one concept and then be like, never mind, Editorial changed its mind because
whatever.
Because at that point you are meta reading it.
Yeah, and we don't know, and they don't issue statements that say, like, actually, Mr. So-and-so and Ms. So-and-so said this, and that those, and you can draw diagrams to how each thing, like, really, and that's why I never do this. I never go like, Dio did this, because I don't know that.
No, we have no idea.
He didn't issue a statement. No one blamed him. There's no names, and it's, like, irresponsible to ascribe names to the things that are happening, because what you're doing is you're interpreting politics, and you don't know, really. Like, all you can do is hold people accountable for what they say and do, and you don't know.
No.
And that's why it's like, all I can do is be frustrated and talk about how DC is dropping the ball sometimes.
Yes.
Because that's what you're doing. Regardless of who's in charge of it, Like, you're driving the bus. And it's like, if you're doing it wrong, you know, the headline's going to read, bus crashes into nursing home. Not DiDio drove bus in. Like, no one's going to know. The headline is DC is driving the bus.
Yeah.
Not whoever. That's why it's so frustrating. Yeah. Like, but... You know, and we don't know. Like, we don't know. No. We don't know what Johns wants to do. All we know is what they told us. And you're right. Like, when they told us about Doomsday Clock 3 years ago, they were like, this is, and this goes to this, and this goes to this. And, like, you know what's never happened in the history of comic book publishing? Where they had a thing in continuity. And it just kept going. And it was like, and one fed into the other, into the other, into the other. And then, at the crucial juncture point, they went, oh, that right there, that's actually an imaginary story and has no bearing on continuity whatsoever.
Yeah.
That's never happened.
Yeah.
So it's like, based on all of that and your experience, you can kind of contextually say, Editorial said to change gears right here.
Yeah. And that is, it's difficult to separate yourself from that, but like, you know, we read this in trade. I'm very interested to reading this in trade.
I am too.
And like, so like, I am kind of glad I haven't been like going back and rereading it because
it's
gonna be
a
fresh
really
read. Like,
it will be
sense,
absolutely
like just going through it in trade. I think what it says to me the most though is like this shift in the importance and like overall like direction that this was meant to or now not meant to take the DC universe. Says that if you did decide partway that you didn't want this direction anymore, you couldn't come up with a more creative way to get yourself out of it.
That's the thing. All you do is tell stories about magic flying men and women who can grow and shrink and shoot rays out of their eyes.
Right.
And you can't come up with an imaginative reason for why this isn't in continuity or why it is or how it works. Like, I get that Frank takes a long time, but like, what's Fabic's excuse for why Three Jokers is taking so goddamn long?
Right.
Like, it's gotta be tied up, right? Because he's faster. Like,
right, but like, regardless of like,
is that
again,
in continuity?
We don't like. I assume it is Gary Frank because I know it does take a long time to do that style of.
And by the way, it's worth it.
It is.
Every
worth
issue
it
is gorgeous.
Is.
It's worth it for the time.
But I just feel like there could have been a better way than ignoring it.
It you know what it does? It's not just like lazy. It's also insulting to your readership to be like, oh, you still care? No, over here behind the scenes, we stopped referring to that or caring about it long ago.
I still have my enamel button.
Yeah.
My Doomsday
I have 3 posters that DC handed us that are like, get ready for some shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, 3 years later, almost 4, they're like, actually, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
No, Perpetua. Great name, by the way. So let's jump into some super chats before we talk about books that we recommend that are coming out this week.
Yeah. No, I think we got these.
Did we?
I think we're...
Oh, Weeby and Geeby says... Weeby and Geeky says, Doomsday Clock takes place before Snyder's Justice League? The thing is, when it's done, you can pick and choose. You can be like, sure.
Except you know it takes place during Heroes of Grace.
Except you know, you can be like, no, it takes place right before because they refer to Sanctuary.
That's
still exists.
True, yeah.
Oh, but then it does after. Never mind, yeah. But yeah, so jumping into some recommendations for books that are coming out this week. Amazing Spider-Man 29 is coming out. MJ and Spider-Man, so yay.
Nice.
Cool. It's a new story arc.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I'm excited. Kev Walker's drawing it, which I like a lot.
Okay. I like that is his name Kevin or Kev?
It says Kev.
Oh,
I don't know him personally.
I thought you were like being really like,
good old Kev Walker.
Yeah, I know Kev.
Listen,
know Kev.
Listen, Kev, if you want to hang out, we will. So, you know.
It's just saying.
Give me a call.
Kev.
Yeah, Kev. What's up? This is for you, Kev. But, yeah.
And this one's for you, Morph.
Also, Silver Surfer Black #4. It's almost done.
Oh.
One more issue to go.
Nice. Well, 2, because you got to get this
one. This one and then the next one. Yeah. I really thought he was going to be like... I thought each issue he was going to be more consumed by that black hand. It's just the arm. I'm sure he will at the end of the issue.
You don't know. Yeah.
Whatever. It's cool, by the way.
It could, you know.
It's cool. It reads fast.
Right.
Oh, so I don't know if it's worth like $4, but it's...
Right. You could get... Well, at this point, you could get the trade.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. An episode of Back issues would be like 25 minutes long.
You don't know that.
Oh, I do. Because Silver Surfer, he goes to here, then he doesn't.
But the questions, man. It's the questions.
Yeah. But they're questions that it's like, I don't know. Why did he do that? I don't know.
Felt like it?
It's Norrin, man.
Yeah.
He does what he wants.
It's all for Shalabal.
Yeah. Anyway, so what do you got?
Oh, I want to clarify. Something is Killing the Children is coming out for its second and then third variant.
Okay.
So you'll be able to get a second printing with a variant cover this week. They are returning for a third printing.
Okay.
The thing that's coming out for this fourth printing was Once in Future number 1.
Oh, okay.
So,
Which you should also pick up.
Listen, guys, like, I know we don't talk a whole lot about Boom Studios right now, but right now they have 2 books that I'm absolutely, like, loving. The first issues of that being Once in Future by Kieran Gillen, the other being Something is Killing Children by Tynan. So,
hard to believe.
You have a chance to get, yes, I know. You have a chance to pick up additional printings of those as they are coming out. But the other things that are coming out that I am excited for that are new, Unearthed number 3, the Cullen Bunn like Descent Alien, like the movie, like hybrid image book is coming out. It's issue 3. It's a mini, so I've been digging on that. It's just a lot of fun.
Cool.
I'm also going to mention the fact that Doctor Strange number 19 is coming out.
Hey.
That's all I'm going to say about that. Mm-hmm. Moving on.
Daredevil 11, Chip Zdarsky, Daredevil, you gotta buy it. Mm-hmm. Also, Spider-Man's gonna be in it, so check it out. It's such a good book. Mm-hmm. It's one of the best runs of Daredevil in a long time. It may beat Mark Waid's run. I don't know. Check it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny if you're talking about Mark Waid, and I'm also talking about Mark Waid.
Yeah, and well, the next one will certainly...
Well, we'll see, because these are the Strange... This last one was a little standalone. I think this issue is going to be a standalone, and they're a little stronger. I just wish they were a little...
better.
Tighter.
Yeah.
I'm going to mention King Thor number 1.
King Thor!
It's coming out. It's a 4-part miniseries by Jason Aaron and Asad Ribic. It's like they're
Is this the end?
They're going to conclude their epic Thor story of, like, King Thor in the far-flung future, the All-Father of a broken realm, which I picked up a little bit of, so I'm like interested in that.
Yeah, you
so
love
I'm
that.
gonna go check it out and see what's going on there.
Right.
I assume Ribic's gonna be bringing his A game for this. I mean, he always does, but like I think.
I bet he did that Conan book as like a palate cleanser, where he's like, I'm still in the zone for Thor. I'm gonna draw Conan.
Yeah. So, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I have one more thing.
Go ahead.
Speaking of Asad Ribic, Marvel Monograph, The Art of Asad Ribic will be coming out.
Ooh, okay.
So if you want to just get a book filled with Asad Ribic pieces with a little insight from him, that's the book to get. I think it's coming out in comic book stores on the 11th. That's what they're indicating, but it'll be on Amazon on the 25th of September.
Okay.
So I'm going to probably grab this one. I really love these monograph books. There's a Stuart Eminem one coming up soon enough as well.
Yeah.
I love the concept of them and I want to support it, so I think I'm going to grab this one.
Totally. And of course, Pox, Powers of 10 comes out, number 4 of 6.
Pox upon you!
Yes. But yeah, Powers of 10. I don't know. Right? Like, because the summaries are always like, the X-Men battle against insurmountable odds.
Right, but I see the name Sinister here.
Sinister does best. Sinister does what Sinister does best, and the future comes to an end.
I hope it's monologue and make things hard for Jean and Scott.
Yeah, also makes clone babies or some goddamn thing. I do know the cover is implying, you know what, I'll bet Powers of 10 will answer the exact question about what timeline this is.
I guess, yeah. What's funny is, like, this cover reminds me more of the Heroes, or the House of X, though.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking it's going to be...
Kind of, but not really. I don't know.
Yeah, here it is.
Check it out.
Cool.
Send me my X-Men.
And that's it. We want to thank you so much for hanging out with us. Of course, if you want to get more comic pop goodness, you can always subscribe to this channel, like the video. It helps us out a little bit. And, of course, leave a comment down below letting us know what book you're picking up next week. And or this week, I should say.
Yeah.
And, of course, check out every other show we do here. Back Issues Off the Rack, Elseworlds Exchange, and so much more. There's a lot of big backlog of other shows that we do. Mm-hmm. If you are a big fan of our old catalog, some of our shows have been retired. Shows like... what was it, Busted, and some other shows. Those shows that were retired, I'm actually posting over on the Facebook page, facebook.com/ComicPOP official, because of course different bullshit companies took Comic Pop long before we did, and then just sat on them and want like $10,000 for the remote domain, so they can eat a dick. So we're feel free to just check that out, facebook.com/ComicPOP official, and more. There's so much more. Patreon.com/ComicPOP. You can get weekly updates about what's going on here at the channel.
Yeah.
And see more, here on this channel. Stay tuned, and Oh, and if you like the audio version of this show, you can go to iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud. No, not SoundCloud, but Podbean. It's over there.
Yeah.
And Weeby and Geeky says, who is your second favorite comic character, you guys?
Second favorite?
I don't know. Probably like Daredevil or something.
Daredevil really is your second favorite?
Well, it's not my first favorite.
I mean, Doctor Strange is my favorite.
They always like alternate. My number one. Oh, it's always Spider-Man and Batman. Those are my two like major favorites, which makes me like a total plebe, and like no one should believe or listen to a word I have to say. These are the most popular characters, and
Whatever.
It's like lame.
No.
But like it's always those two. Oh, I've missed out on Preston Bryan, who said, "Thanks for explaining your frustrations. I agree with everything you're saying. Why is it hard to do a story and just deliver? I don't know. Right? Like I don't know. I don't get it." But yeah, second favorite character.
Storm.
There you go. That's fair. Storm needs like somebody who cares to like just redo her. You know what I mean? Like just redo that character. Like, you know, they need to House of X Hickman her up, where it's like, let me do something with Storm. Because like anytime anybody does something with Storm, they're like, how about I give her a boyfriend, or you know, or send her back to Africa? Like, no, do something cool with Storm. Do just something obvious with Storm.
I just dig her. This is a long episode. I'm just looking at the timer.
It's a double-length episode of Off the Rack. So thanks a lot for hanging out.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you like video games, go to twitch.tv/ComicPOP and watch this lady play video games every Wednesday and Sunday. You're in WoW Classic, so if you want to visit Azeroth... For now.
We're going to actually be moving away from that in a little bit.
True Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for now, check it out. Oh, new emotes.
Yeah.
And I hear that the Super Chats have super stickers... So maybe we can generate some Comic Pop themed stickers.
For this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
that are similar to your...
Nobody wants the emotes I made over here.
No, but I'm just saying, like, but in a similar fashion.
If you do want emotes, you go over to the Purple channel, you can get one of me dancing. It's a cartoon. It's a little drawing.
They're all fun.
One of me yelling, a cubed bee.
I love that bee.
And a happy butt.
What does that mean? Find out more. Check it out. But yeah, thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you guys next time here on youtube.com/ComicPOP.
Yeah.
See you then. I'm Sal.
I'm Tiffany.
So long, everybody.
Bye, guys.